write them all down. We have a quorum. So, anybody want to move approval of the agenda?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? You have minutes for June 17th, 2013.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I'm sorry,
Tony.
Tony first. Well, I know your name, I didn't look up to see who said it. Any citizen input on matters generally related to planning and zoning, rather than just the issue, because you'll have an opportunity to respond to that when we get to it. Hearing none. New business. A request submitted by Josh and Dana Carlisle?
That's my wife.
Dana? I know a Dana and I know a Dana. For a special use permit to operate a home occupation from their residence at 699 North 4th Street, which is located in the R1 Single Family Zone District. The requested home occupation is for automobile sales, primarily through the internet. You have an application properly filled out, and before you, you have the staff report from Brenda. So at this time, will the applicant come forward, stand up there at that microphone, introduce yourself by name, and
Okay, sorry.
address the board as to why you would like to get this approval.
My name's Josh Carlisle. I live at 669. I think you said 699, so I'm not sure if the paperwork.
699 is what it says.
It says to be 669, yeah. 669 North 4th.
Hmm?
Yeah. The agenda's wrong.
Yeah, she just,
Okay. Because he lives at 699, I believe, right? That's his, yeah, that's his home, yeah. So maybe, yeah, the FedEx guy gets our address mixed up too, so. I want to try to sell cars out of my home so I can, make better income for my family. Me and my wife are both teachers, so, just trying to find extra avenues to make extra money and things like that. So, I'm not really sure in the packet that you got, but the picture she sent me, I don't know if it was a generic picture, but I actually have some pictures of my driveway to show you that it can house I only printed 3 because I wasn't aware, so if you want to pass them around or whatever. But you can see the driveway is pretty significant in value, or significant in size, so therefore it can house more than just 2 cars. At the most, any vehicles I would have would be 2, tops 3 outside of our regular 2 vehicles we drive. So there would be none in the street out front. There would be, if I needed additional parking, I've got a 80-foot by 80-foot backyard, so I don't have to have anything, sitting on the street roadways blocking other traffic, and there won't be any used car parts and stuff laying around, so that way it won't, mess up the neighborhood or make it look any worse or anything like that. So not really sure what else I need to address.
I'll tell you some of the questions I asked when she told me about it.
What was that?
I will tell you some of the questions I asked, and you can respond to
Okay.
them. And Brenda and I were discussing this. One of the objections to home-based businesses is the number of people coming and going at
Right.
various hours. What are your intentions regarding the sale of these vehicles?
Well, the sales, when they're primarily done online, there would be very little, if any, traffic at all, because all the transactions would be taken over the internet. Therefore, I'd have to put them on a transport truck or whatever, like drive the truck to another location and put them on the truck, or actually the people might come by and pick them up. But most of the time, that's not going to happen. So it's not like I'm going to have like a normal dealership lot where I've got 20 to 30 people a week pulling in my driveway or stopping by to look at it. So. And for the place to be a bona fide dealer, for me to apply to the state to become a dealer, I have to have a sign, a 3-foot by 5-foot sign with 6-inch letters, and it'll be mounted on the fence itself, because I've already had a state trooper come out and do like a pre-inspection before I went through this whole process to make sure that it was going to be able to meet the requirements for the dealership requirements. And the sign will be mounted on the fence, and he said that's fine as far as the state goes. So in my house being an older home, it won't have to have any signage put on the home. So.
The other question I asked her is that I personally wouldn't particularly want to live next to somebody who's parking cars in their yard. You
Right.
plan to create a parking space for these vehicles?
Well, like, I'll be able to park my personal vehicles on the left side, and then on the right side would be the actual driveway. They could park in the driveway, so I'm gonna try my best not to ever have any cars in the backyard. My front yard's not big enough to put anything in the front yard, obviously, so I won't have to worry about, having a bunch of stuff growing up around it with grass and creating bug issues or rodent issues or anything like that. They'll all be drivable vehicles, so they won't be, damaged and disabled and sitting around the yard with, the front crushed in on them and stuff like that, so. Did I answer your question?
You'll never have more vehicles than your current parking can accommodate.
Right. Because even with the insurance, I have to have dealer's insurance. I can't, with the dealer insurance, whatever I purchase, I can only have so many for the dealership. So if I say I'm only gonna have 3 cars under the dealer blanket, I can only have 3 cars under the dealer blanket. So that way the driveway, the right side of the driveway you see will actually accommodate 3 vehicles down that side.
Where are you gonna put this sign?
On the fence right in front of where the black car's sitting.
And what would that sign say?
It'll just have the name of the dealership, Automotive Resources Unlimited, and a phone number. So it wouldn't have
A
like,
painted wood sign and a...
it'll be a professional sign made up, a metal sign or a wood sign. I haven't really, defined the specifics of what the sign's gonna look like, but it's not gonna be like a plywood sign with a spray paint name on it. It's gonna be a professional design sign and hung on the fence. And the reason why I'm choosing the fence is that way I don't have to mount it on the home or mount it, to obstruct any, the way the neighborhood looks, kind of the historical side of things.
Now, the sign would have to be approved through landmarks or something, wouldn't it, or?
Yes,
it'd
Even
have
if
to
it's
go
not
to-
on the home?
yes.
Okay.
That's pretty large, didn't you say 3 by
3 by
5?
3 foot by,
Big
that's
sign.
what the state requires, yeah.
Minimum?
Yeah.
A big sign. What's your motivation to, if you're gonna start a business, to do it from your home as opposed to a commercial location?
At the time, I don't have the funds to go out and rent a commercial location, so the idea, like I told Brendan, I think Mr. Toma, is that correct? I spoke with them and said the idea is to get a revenue started, and then once I get enough revenue to go out and rent or purchase a building, that's what what I plan to do. So it's not, I don't want to go out and start renting a building for $600 a month just to turn around and fail and not be able to, float the business. So the idea is to start with a minimal budget and then grow it from there. So it's not that I don't want a lot that's specifically for that, it's just at the time, with the funds we have available without depleting them to buy cars, then,
You mentioned loading vehicles on transport. Now, I mean, I'd be very honest, I'd have a real big problem if that happened in front of your house.
right, yeah, and I
think
don't
your
plan on that to
neighbors-
happen in front of the house
Your neighbors would
either.
probably have a pretty big issue with that as
Right.
well. So how would you plan to accommodate that?
I mean, I would meet them in another location, whether it's like a
You've got-
different lot.
You've got a business plan together, you've surely got a location picked out.
Actually, I haven't got that far. I didn't know I was gonna be asked that question, so,
Okay.
I mean, if I had to drive it and meet them at a, because most time when you load a vehicle that's drivable on a transport truck, it doesn't take too terribly long. So if I had to meet them in like a commuter lot or something like that, long enough to load it up,
How would vehicles come to you? Would they come to you on a rollback,
I would go pick them up on a trailer, yeah.
on a trailer?
On a trailer and drop them off and then park them and then deliver the
So you would
trailer.
unload them off the trailer at your residence?
Yes, just as if I would if I was unloading.
Do you have
the
room to
lawnmower.
do that as you back into your driveway, or is that something you have to get out on the street and then pull the car in?
Typically, I mean, like I said, if I already have 2 vehicles there, I won't be able to put the whole truck in the driveway, but I mean, I can unload them and then park them and then remove the truck. Because the truck's not gonna be housed at mine, it's actually a grandfather's truck that I would be using at the time.
I apologize, did you say that you and your wife were both teachers?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
So your transactions would be after school hours?
Right.
So evenings?
Yes, sir.
Bringing vehicles in, vehicles out?
Well, evenings or summer,
pickups?
during the summer, we have the whole summer off
Yeah.
too, so, time would fluctuate. But by the state, they require us to have operating hours with a minimum of, I think it was like 32 hours or 40 hours a week, but they can be anywhere between the hours of 8 and 10 p.m., 8 in the morning to 10 p.m.
I am for anyone who is risking their own money to try to better themselves.
Right.
But my concerns about the hours and these things and pickups and delivery of
Right.
vehicles is your neighborhood and your neighbors
Right.
right there experiencing some of that.
Right.
Especially if it's a wrecker coming in or something with a backup alarm that drops a car off at 9 o'clock at
Right.
night.
Well, and then another point, I forgot, I didn't even think about this, but they are drivable. I can drive them under my dealer's license and under the dealer insurance. I can actually go pick them up from auction with a, chase car or whatever and then drop them off my driveway without having to have any transport trucks and stuff like that, so.
So
So that way it
along,
wouldn't become a nuisance for the
along
neighbors.
with your personal vehicles and your commercial sales vehicles, you'd also have the trailer.
No, that'll be housed at another location because it's not, I don't currently own that, so.
Okay.
I was curious about this.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. When Joan Wilson says Academy, that's not even near.
That's,
They
yeah.
have a rental house, I think.
That's a rental house property they have next door, so I figured I would have to contact the homeowner, not the renter that stays there.
And then Mike and Janice Thomas, that's 415 Lady, that's,
It's the back
About
corner of
mine.
my lot touches theirs,
Oh, does
about
it?
6 foot, so yeah.
okay. What about, is that sign, I thought landmarks had like a limit on the size of the sign, don't they?
I'd have to look at that.
I don't know why, but I think it's 30 foot by 2 foot.
2 by 2 or 2 by 3, I don't know.
I'm thinking that
Yeah.
that'd be something that would be a sticking point for sure.
Well, clearly your approval wouldn't exempt him from complying with any other pertinent regulations, so you'd have to get him before landmarks. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Carlisle, I know you know that you are in the heart of the historic district. And your property is adjacent to what is very probably the most pristine inhabited, oldest colonial French home anywhere in the world.
I wasn't aware of that. Whose home was
In
that?
addition, that's Vaughn's house. It's more than 200 years old and currently still occupied continuously. And will certainly be a jewel in the development further of our historic district. In addition, within 200 feet of your house are 3 more vertical log homes in various states of reconstruction, but also inhabited. Were you aware of that?
No, sir. I mean, I know that the Thomas home is a log home, and I'm very familiar with his home, but other than that, I wasn't aware of any other.
I personally think that placing a car dealership in that location is very inappropriate for this historic town.
Okay.
I could go on, but we have a time constraint, so I'll let someone else have the floor.
Any other questions from the commission?
Where do you plan on buying all the vehicles at?
They
Or-
will be purchased from auction.
And all the vehicles will be in running condition?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I mean, I don't plan to buy junk. I'm not trying to buy cars that are dilapidated or tore down. My projected idea is to have cars in the $6,000 to $15,000 range. So, any normal, good running vehicle that could be sold, rapidly, so I'm not sitting on the money and, sitting there waiting on it. Like I said, the whole idea is to start from the location, but to soon move into a commercial location, whether it's rent or purchase or build or whatever. I'm all for the historical committee and historical district. That's why I try to abide by the rules, and I painted my house versus putting vinyl siding on it and stuff like that. So I'm all for preserving that. Not trying to sound like a rude person here, but if I didn't come to Brenda about it, other than me looking like I purchased 3 additional cars and set them in my driveway, you would have not, I don't believe that it would have taken away from the historical district at all, because I've already been approved to run an e-commerce business out of my home. So the signage wouldn't have changed anything, except for having to go to the historical district and ask them about it.
Pardon me, an e-commerce business from there, who approved that?
I talked to Brenda, and she said since it's that, and I talked to the people in the business, or the office about the whole business licensure and stuff like that, and they said that since it's not gonna have any foot traffic and things like that, they don't have to go, that was what I was told. Because I check on all the rules and everything before I do anything, because I don't wanna have to come in here before people after the fact.
I tell you, I think landmarks if this board approved it, I think landmarks might be your stopper because of the size of the sign and their commitment to the preserving the heritage of the historic area. And if you can't do it without a sign, that might really be a hurdle.
Yeah, because the state won't approve it without that.
Well, this isn't something you're looking at as a permanent thing anyways. You're just getting off the ground and
Start up, yep. It's something that I want to move, like I said, to a commercial
So-
location, so.
what kind of timetable are you looking at? I mean, if everything goes good, or how do I say it? When are you going to know when?
I would like to say 6 months to a year, but that all has a lot to do with, I guess how fate works itself out. If I buy and sell and make some good money off a handful of cars, then I have no problem with buying or renting commercial location. But if I make minimal on each car, then obviously, my thing is I don't want it to fail, so therefore I want to make sure I have a nest egg built up ahead of time. So I guess I'm trying to be a little business savvy, about it, instead of just going out and saying, hey, I'm going to throw $600 in a building, get this all approved for it to tank in 6 months. So that's my thought process behind doing it from the home.
On page 3 of the 6-page application, question 3, you did not check advertising sign or other display in response to the question. Please indicate if the proposed use will involve any of the following.
I did check it on the application I sent Brenda, so I'm not sure if there was something that was reprinted or done something any different.
Yeah, because I mean, it says down here that there will be a sign mounted.
I was presuming this was the application he actually filled out,
Yeah.
I filled it out as a
but
PDF and sent it back to her.
this is a different version.
That would be very important for this board to get the original application, so you don't lose anything in translation moving forward.
Yes.
I agree.
These are reviewed yearly or?
It says, no, they're not. I mean, it's a permanent zone change.
Brenda even said that there might be a possibility that you guys would discuss the fact of a temporary supplement, to allow it for a certain amount of time and be readdressed at a later date. Whether it be 6 months or a year or 2 years or,
We've done it before.
I thought it was,
Well, it won't be unless you put a condition.
Yeah, unless we put it in.
Anything like that.
Would there be is it time for comment from anyone else?
Through with your questions of the applicant.
I have no further questions.
I'd like to hear from
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where we're
Okay.
headed next.
Now it's time to hear from any citizen who has a comment to make relative to the application. Please come forward. Yeah.
What worries me, Josh, is that these cars, someone's going to come and inspect them, correct? They're going to have to be backing in and out of the driveway. As the commission knows, 4th Street is one of the busiest streets in town. I mean, there's continually traffic on there. The kids use that route to go to school in the morning and come home in the evening. I know you say 2 cars, but you've got a big backyard there to park a lot of cars in.
by the insurance, so I can only have 2 to 3 tops. Whether, if I wanted to go out and buy 15, they're not going to cover up my insurance, so I'm only going to carry 2 or 3 tops outside of my normal vehicles.
In your letter, you said the primary sale on the internet is going to be cars. I gather from that there's something else you're going to sell on the internet.
As far as the application goes, it's just vehicles, but me and Brenda talked for the other thing that I brought up was the e-commerce was basically having automotive accessories, but they won't actually come to my house. They'll be drop shipped from a warehouse somewhere else.
Oh, those are the only, it's just that traffic. If people are going to be, a lot of traffic on the street, is what bothers me.
Well, the internet sales, typically no one inspects them. They go off of, basically the description and stuff like that online or whatever. So there wouldn't be anybody per se inspecting and test drive them unless they specifically order like an inspection company to come out and inspect them or whatever, but 9 times out of 10,
Never
that
bought a
doesn't
car
happen.
that I didn't.
Oh, I know. If
never
I was
bought
I
a-
understand, I understand.
If I was buying a car, I'd sure want to inspect it.
Yeah.
Well, when you deal with eBay and stuff, it's
I would never buy a vehicle that I couldn't touch, see, and drive.
And
And
test
so
it.
I think that's a big concern for me too, that you would have that traffic from maybe a certain mile radius that could, would be feasible for them to come do that. Do you plan to, I'm sorry, I've got off course, pardon me, sir.
That's another point. There's a park right down the street. People are going to test drive these cars. They're going to be driving around the neighborhood. There's children all the time playing out in the streets, on all those streets around, on Biltmore and Roberts and Leahy.
But would it increase the traffic any more than you already see? I mean, like you said, 4th Street's a busy street, so would you notice an increase in traffic, or would it be just normal traffic?
Well, what would bother me is if someone's going to test drive a car, you're going to have to back one of the cars out and park it on the street to get the one out in front of it. And then the cars coming down 4th Street are all going to have to go around the parked cars.
Or you could pull it back in when that one pulls.
Of course, I know people can park on the street now, and they have to go
Yeah.
around.
I think he's gonna look at the sound ones.
That's, was my only concern, was the majority of traffic.
Thank you.
Anyone else care to comment? He covered it?
He covered everything.
There wasn't anything from the police chief.
Who was back there? Who was the
Yeah, he was, but
I have a quick question. Ron, is your real name Stephen? Is your real name Stephen?
No, Stephen is my stepson.
Okay. Oh. Stephen Stewart, that's, did you receive the letter at the property? Address, did you receive a letter?
Yes.
And it was addressed to you?
No, it's addressed to Stephen. I have permission to open his mail. He lives in Quincy, Illinois.
Okay.
He doesn't live here.
Okay.
I'm sorry, and I neglected to write your name down. Could you give it to me again, please?
Your name?
Your name?
Give him your full name. Ron Jones.
Jones. And your concern was traffic conflicts and conflicts with people driving around with the kids playing at the park. Those are the two things that you're most concerned about?
Public safety and traffic.
Well, I don't really know whether this would occur or not.
No, I'm just taking notes, so I got to put it in the minutes. Okay.
I guess if there was no more than, I understand everyone that needs to earn a living, but I ran a business, I had to put up money, purchase a building, and stocks to go into a business. Anyone that runs a business has to invest in it.
Next shift is coming in. Come on in, Teddy. Not going to make you stand. Any other comments from the board?
I'm ready to take a vote.
Call for the question.
Okay.
Hey, Mark, do you want to say anything more?
No, I have nothing.
So, it isn't a question. I need a motion for approval or denial of the application.
I make a motion to deny.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion, and a second for denial of the application. All in favor of denial?
Roll call.
A roll call, I'm sorry. A roll call. Commissioner Prince?
Do we say yes to deny or no to?
It is
Yes
yes to deny.
Yes.
Let's see, Buck doesn't vote. Commissioner Couch? You made the motion.
Mr. Carlisle, I encourage you to pursue your business plans. And if you're in a different part of the city, I wouldn't have so much a problem, but I would have to vote yes.
Commissioner Heinemann?
yes.
Waltz?
Yes.
and Commissioner Grass.
Yes.
Okay, by unanimous vote, the application for a special use permit.
Miss
had
Buck.
6, Buck doesn't vote, he's a automatic liaison. I know as much as he'd like to vote.
Yeah.
Your request has been denied. Okay, update on the comprehensive plan. The surveys are being printed and they're going to get distributed this week, and hopefully we'll get 100 or so in. And when we do, we'll have another meeting and collate the information, and then we'll have a focus group, and then we'll keep moving on to bring you proposed amendments.
And hopefully tomorrow I will contact you with my question about the questionnaire about the comprehensive plan.
Okay?
Or it is.
Anybody want to make a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second. Can I vote on that?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Kathy already seconded it.
Yeah.
Probably has a lot of questions to answer.
Hi, thank you for watching Channel 798.
Thank you for watching Channel 7 and 98.
Hi, thank you very much for watching Channel 798.